Fasting for 23 hours doesn't starve your body. It actually repairs it. Constantly micromanaging your diet leaves your digestive system exhausted and overworked. I used to think continuous fueling was mandatory. But what exactly happens inside your cells when the deliveries finally stop? Here's what most people miss. Most believe skipping meals puts the body into a dangerous starvation mode that quickly destroys muscle. But a significant threat to your health is an overfed metabolism perpetually trapped in storage mode. We are going to walk through the exact 23-hour OMAD fasting timeline to see what actually happens inside your physiology when digestion stops. The biological switch that controls deep cellular repair often remains completely hidden. Hours 0 to 4. During the first 4 hours, your system is fully loaded. The digestive tract breaks down your last meal, flooding the bloodstream with readily available glucose. To manage this influx, your pancreas secretes a surge of insulin. This is your biological one-way valve. It opens your cells to absorb energy, but it tightly locks the doors to your stored adipose tissue. Think of your body right now as a busy warehouse. Workers are actively stocking shelves with new inventory, keeping the fat vaults sealed until incoming shipments stop. In this high-insulin environment, fat burn is essentially deactivated. Your body has zero physiological reason to tap into its backup reserves when easy energy is floating right in the bloodstream. The entire system prioritizes storage. You are not running out of energy yet. So what forces the body to stop storing and start burning? Hours 4 to 8. As you cross the 4-hour mark, the influx of external glucose stops. Your digestive tract empties, and the heavy shipments of incoming energy finally halt. Blood sugar levels begin a slow, highly controlled descent back to baseline. To compensate, your pancreas sharply reduces insulin production. The one-way valve starts to relax. With insulin dropping, the lock on your stored adipose tissue begins to slowly disengage. This is where the switch flips. Practically, what you'll notice is a sudden wave of physical hunger. Your stomach produces ghrelin, the primary hunger hormone. It sends urgent electrical pulses to your brain to locate food. Now, the hunger you feel is not a sign of cellular starvation. It is simply a learned endocrine reflex. Your body is heavily accustomed to a continuous supply of incoming glucose, and it is lightly protesting the sudden absence of easy energy. Hours 8 to 12. By hour 8, the free glucose from your last meal is largely depleted. The bloodstream clears. To keep your nervous system and organs fully functioning, the body must locate a secondary fuel source. It turns directly to your liver and muscle tissue. These organs store backup energy in a molecular form called glycogen. Think of glycogen as your biological wallet. It holds a small, highly accessible cash reserve. This is perfect for immediate expenses before you have to visit the actual bank. In plain terms, this means your liver is breaking down stored starch into usable glucose. It slowly drips this fuel into your bloodstream to maintain perfectly stable energy levels across your system. You might feel a slight dip in physical stamina during this exact window. Your core body temperature might drop slightly as blood flow shifts away from active digestion. But your muscle tissue remains largely protected. Evidence indicates that during this specific phase, human physiology simply transitions toward its internal glycogen buffer. It requires no external input to sustain your active tissue yet. Hours 12 to 16. As you move past the 12-hour mark, the glycogen wallet is nearly empty. The liver senses that it cannot sustain the body on these limited cash reserves much longer. A profound metabolic pivot occurs. Your liver begins to actively access the locked vault. It extracts dense fatty acids from your fat cells and converts them into water-soluble molecules called ketones. This is the entry point of ketosis. Your brain, heart, and muscles start running on this highly efficient secondary fuel architecture. Simultaneously, circulating levels of human growth hormone begin to steadily rise. Research suggests this hormonal shift acts as a protective mechanism. It tends to shield existing muscle mass from degradation, while the body transitions over to heavier fat oxidation. That is why rapid muscle wasting is rarely associated with controlled, short-term fasting. No, the body prioritizes the breakdown of stored triglycerides over your highly active muscle fibers. You just have to endure the initial metabolic friction to reach this secondary engine. Now watch what changes next. You will often notice a sharp decrease in physical hunger during these hours. Ghrelin production naturally drops as the brain detects a massive, steady flow of ketone bodies entering the system. Hours 16 to 20. Inside this window, your physiology is heavily fat-adapted. Ketone production is highly stable. Your metabolic rate may even slightly increase due to an uptick in norepinephrine. But the most significant biological event is not happening inside your fat cells. It happens deep inside your tissues through a cellular mechanism known as autophagy. Think of autophagy as a microscopic recycling crew. When external nutrients are entirely scarce, cells begin to intensely scavenge their own internal environments. They target damaged proteins, cellular rust, and dysfunctional organelles. They break down these old, oxidized parts and process them into basic amino acids to build fresh, healthy structures. In plain terms, what you'll notice is a subtle increase in systemic efficiency. The body tends to clear out the cellular debris that is often associated with long-term inflammation. Studies have found this protective mechanism is actively suppressed when you are constantly eating. The recycling crew only clocks in when the warehouse is fully closed. The longer you stay in this deep fasting phase, the more extensive the cleanup may be. This explains why people frequently report a sudden, intense surge in mental clarity and physical focus around hour 18. This is your brain running smoothly on highly efficient ketones while your body operates entirely on internal repair protocols. Hours 20 to 23. As you approach this range, you are reaching the biological target of a daily OMAD cycle. Your body is operating on stored body fat and deep internal recycling. Research suggests that brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, may become elevated during this specific phase. BDNF is often described as structural fertilizer for the brain. It is associated with the maintenance of neural pathways and increased stress resistance within the central nervous system. At this stage, your circulating insulin levels are at their absolute biological baseline. The locked vault of your fat cells remains wide open, releasing a steady, uninterrupted stream of physical energy. Maintaining strict electrolyte balance plays a critical role right here. It is required to keep your nerve impulses firing correctly and your hydration levels stable. It is an incredibly efficient state of human physiology, but it must eventually end to provide raw building blocks for the newly repaired cells. And this explains the strange part. Hour 23. A 23-hour fast is only one half of the physiological equation. The specific way you reintroduce food dictates exactly how your body rebuilds. When you finally eat at hour 23, insulin spikes to pull the incoming nutrients into your freshly cleaned cells. If you consume a massive load of highly refined carbohydrates, you risk a severe metabolic rebound. The newly sensitized system is highly reactive. The one-way valve slams shut. The sudden influx of synthetic glucose can often lead to lethargy, bloating, and immediate fat storage. Instead, the biological system requires high-quality proteins and structurally healthy fats. These rebuild the precise tissues that were broken down during autophagy. This window is entirely for construction. You broke down the old structures so you could build stronger ones. Most people approach a fasting cycle as a test of sheer physical endurance. They view the natural waves of hunger as a sign of biological deprivation, assuming the goal is simply to starve the system into dropping weight. But when you map out the physiology hour by hour, you see why that perspective fundamentally misses the mark. The actual problem is not a lack of physical willpower. The real issue is living in a chronic state of elevated insulin. The body is continuously processing incoming energy and rarely receives the required chemical signal to pause and repair. By viewing fasting through this strict timeline framework, the process stops being an arbitrary struggle. You are no longer just enduring the clock. You are actively waiting for specific metabolic switches to flip. The initial physical fatigue is merely the biological friction of your system, transitioning from external glucose dependence to internal fat oxidation. Once you understand these distinct phases, you recognize that the deep cellular cleanup only begins when the primary digestive warehouse is completely shut down. It is a highly structured system of controlled biological resting, followed by deliberate physical reconstruction. Transitioning to a 23-hour OMAD schedule requires a highly structured approach to remain safe and sustainable. Here's the simple way to apply this. Do this. Map your daily fasting timeline gradually. Start by slowly compressing your eating window over several weeks. Move from a standard 12-hour baseline down to an 8-hour, then a 4-hour window, before ever attempting the full 23-hour fast. Maintain exact electrolyte balance by consuming filtered water with trace sodium, potassium, and magnesium throughout the fasting hours. This helps prevent vascular headaches and maintain steady nerve function. Break the fast gently. Start with a very small portion of easily digestible lean protein. Wait 30 minutes, and then consume your main meal to slowly wake up your dormant digestive enzymes. Avoid this. Do not break the deep maintenance phase with highly refined carbohydrates or liquid sugars. This immediately triggers an aggressive insulin spike during refeed, which can cause a metabolic rebound and rapid fat storage. Do not ignore severe physical distress. If you feel intensely dizzy, faint, or highly lethargic beyond standard hunger waves, immediately stop the fast and consume dense nutrients. Finally, avoid jumping directly from a standard diet straight into OMAD. Your liver fundamentally needs time to build the enzymatic machinery required to efficiently produce ketones. If you only remember one thing, fasting is not about permanently starving the body of energy. It is a calculated shift toward stored internal fuel and microscopic cellular recycling. If you want more hour-by-hour more breakdowns like this, stay with this channel. Which part of this timeline framework have you been missing?